I had a ring hidden in my drawer for 2 months, waiting for the perfect moment to propose to Megan. She had a best friend named Derek. One Saturday, she went to dinner with him. She came home wearing an engagement ring. But it was not mine. Before we begin, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit like and subscribe if you have not already. Let me take you back to where this all started, so you can see how blind I was. My name is Jet, and I met Megan at an art exhibition in downtown Chicago 3 years ago. I remember that night, like it was yesterday. The gallery was small, tucked between a coffee shop and a bookstore on a quiet street. I was 28 years old, working as a software engineer for a tech company. I had gone to the exhibition alone, mostly because I needed a break from staring at computer screens all day. Megan was standing in front of a painting when I first saw her. She had this way of tilting her head when she looked at art, like she was having a private conversation with it. I watched her for a few minutes, before I found the courage to walk over. When she turned and smiled at me, I felt something shift inside my chest. She was 25 then, working as a marketing manager for a startup. Smart, funny, and with a smile that made everything else in the room disappear. We talked for hours that night. We closed down the gallery, and then found a diner that was open late. By the time the sun came up, I knew I wanted to see her again. And again. And again after that. The first few months of dating Megan were magical. We went hiking on weekends, explored new restaurants, cooked dinner together in my small apartment. She taught me how to make her grandmother's pasta recipe. I taught her how to play chess, though she never had the patience for it. We watched old movies on my couch, her head resting on my shoulder, and I remember thinking that this was what happiness felt like. After a year together, Megan moved into my apartment. It was not a big place, just a one-bedroom unit on the third floor of an old building, but it felt like home with her in it. I loved waking up next to her every morning. I loved the way she hummed while making coffee. I loved the little notes she left on the bathroom mirror. I was certain she was the woman I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. Then, about 6 months after she moved in, Derek started appearing more frequently. Megan had mentioned him before, of course. They had been friends since their freshman year of college. She always described him as her best friend, like a brother to her. When she first introduced us, she said those exact words. "Derek is like the brother I never had. You two are going to get along great." I wanted to believe her. I really did. Derek was 29 tall with the kind of confident smile that salespeople perfect over years of practice. He worked as a real estate agent, and based on how much he talked about his sales numbers, he was doing well for himself. Or, at least he wanted everyone to think so. The first time I met him, we shook hands in my own living room. His grip was firm, almost too firm, like he was trying to prove something. But what I remember most was his eyes. When he looked at me, it was like he was looking through me, like I was a piece of furniture that happened to be in his way. Then he turned to Megan, and his whole face changed. Warmer, softer, more attentive. I told myself I was imagining things. Derek started calling Megan more often. At first, it was once a week. Then, it became every few days. Then, almost every night. The calls would last an hour, sometimes two. Megan always took them in another room, or out on the balcony with the door closed. When I asked about it, she waved her hand dismissively. "Derek is going through a hard time at work," she said. "He just needs someone to talk to. You know how it is." I did not know how it was actually. My friends and I did not have 2-hour phone calls every night. But I nodded and said nothing, because I did not want to be that boyfriend. The jealous one. The controlling one. I trusted Megan, and she had never given me a reason not to. But there were signs. Small ones at first, easy to dismiss. Derek made comments whenever we were all together. Nothing obviously offensive, just subtle jabs wrapped in friendly packaging. One time, when Megan mentioned my job, Derek laughed and said, "Tech, huh? Must be nice sitting at a computer all day." Meanwhile, I am out there hustling, closing deals, talking to real people. Then, he would go on about his latest sale, his newest client, his growing commission check. Megan never said anything. She just smiled and changed the subject. Another time, I saw a text notification flash on Megan's phone. It was from Derek. The message said, "Miss you today." My stomach tightened when I read it. I asked her about it that night, trying to keep my voice casual. She looked at me like I had asked the strangest question in the world. "That is just how we talk," she said. "We have always been like that." "It does not mean anything, Jet. You are overthinking this." Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe I was being paranoid. I decided to let it go, to trust her, to focus on us, instead of worrying about him. Looking back now, I wish I had trusted my gut instead. About 2 months before everything fell apart, I made a decision. I was going to propose to Megan. We had been together for nearly 3 years, and I could not imagine my future without her. I wanted to make it official. I wanted her to be my wife. I spent weeks researching rings. I visited 5 different jewelry stores before I found the one. A 1-carat diamond in a classic setting, simple but elegant. Exactly what Megan would love. It cost me $8,000, which was a significant chunk of my savings, but I did not care. She was worth it. I hid the ring in my sock drawer in a small box wrapped in an old shirt. Every night after Megan fell asleep, I would take it out and look at it, imagining the moment I would get down on one knee. I planned to propose on our 3-year anniversary at the restaurant where we had our first official date. I had already made the reservation. I told my best friend Marcus about the plan. We were at a bar near my office sharing a pitcher of beer when I showed him a photo of the ring on my phone. His reaction was not what I expected. "That is a beautiful ring," he said slowly. "But what about that guy Derek?" I frowned. "What about him?" Marcus took a long drink of his beer before answering. "I do not know, man. Something about him rubs me the wrong way. The way he looks at Megan. The way she acts around him. Are you sure there is nothing going on there?" I shook my head, more confident than I felt. "They are just friends. She has known him since college. It is nothing." Marcus did not push the issue, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. I chose to ignore it. I was in love, and I was going to propose to the woman of my dreams. Nothing was going to ruin that. 2 weeks before that Saturday night, Megan came home with news. Derek had broken up with his girlfriend. Or rather, his girlfriend had broken up with him. Megan was visibly upset on his behalf. "He is devastated," she told me. "They were together for almost a year. I need to be there for him right now." I understood. At least I tried to. Friends support each other through hard times. That is what friends do. But then, the dinner started. Megan began meeting Derek for lunch 2 or 3 times a week. Then it was coffee after work. Then drinks on Friday nights. She always had a reason. "He needs to talk. He is not doing well. I am worried about him." I started noticing other things too. Megan began dressing up more when she went to see Derek. Nicer clothes, more makeup, perfume she usually saved for special occasions. When I pointed this out, she rolled her eyes. "I just want to look nice," she said. "What is wrong with that?" Nothing, I told her. Nothing at all. One night she came home past midnight. I had been waiting up watching television without really seeing it. When she walked through the door, the first thing I noticed was the smell. A cologne that was not mine. It was on her jacket, her hair, her skin. "Where were you?" I asked. "With Derek." He was crying. "He is really going through it, Jet." I was just comforting him. She looked me straight in the eyes when she said it. And I believed her. Because that is what you do when you love someone. You believe them, even when something deep inside you is screaming that something is wrong. The Saturday that changed everything started like any other weekend. I woke up late, made breakfast, checked my emails. Megan was in a good mood, humming while she got dressed. I asked if she wanted to go to lunch, maybe catch a movie. She shook her head. Derek invited me to dinner tonight. He wants to thank me for being there for him these past few weeks. I felt a familiar knot form in my stomach. Why did he not invite me too? Megan sighed, like I was being difficult. He wants to talk privately. It is a hard time for him. I will be back by 10. Okay. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell her that something felt wrong, that I did not like how much time she was spending with him, that I was starting to feel like a stranger in my own relationship. But I swallowed my words. I nodded. I let her go. I spent that evening making dinner for two. Chicken parmesan, her favorite. I set the table with candles even though she would not be there to see them. I kept checking my phone waiting for a text. 10 o'clock came. No Megan. No message. 11 o'clock. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Midnight. I started pacing around the apartment scenarios running through my head. Maybe there was an accident. Maybe her phone died. Maybe something happened. By 1 in the morning, I was sitting on the couch with my head in my hands, trying not to panic. Then, I heard the key in the lock. Megan walked in slowly, her movements careful and deliberate. She had been drinking. I could tell by the slight unsteadiness of her steps, the flush in her cheeks. I stood up ready to ask her 100 questions. Then, I saw her hand. There was a ring on her finger. A diamond ring. But it was not the ring I had hidden in my drawer. It was something else entirely. Something new. Something that should not have been there. I could not move. I could not speak. I just stood there staring at that ring, like it was a weapon pointed at my heart. Megan followed my gaze. For a moment, something flickered across her face. Guilt, maybe. Or fear. Then she hid her hand behind her back like she could make it disappear. That ring, I finally managed to say. Where did you get that ring? She did not answer right away. The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. Then she spoke, and her words destroyed everything. Derek proposed to me tonight, she said, and I said yes. The world stopped. I remember feeling like all the air had been sucked out of the room. Like I was drowning on dry land. Like everything I thought I knew had been a lie. I do not know how long I stood there in silence. It could have been seconds. It could have been hours. Time had lost all meaning the moment those words left her mouth. Explain, I finally said. My voice did not sound like my own. It was flat hollow, stripped of everything. Explain this to me right now. Megan sat down on the edge of the couch, still not looking at me. She twisted the ring on her finger, and I wanted to rip it off and throw it out the window. I did not plan for this to happen, she started. But Derek and I, we have a connection. We always have. I tried to ignore it because I cared about you, Jet. I really did. Cared. Past tense. I caught that immediately. You cared about me, I repeated. She nodded slowly. You were never really there for me emotionally. You were always working, always distracted. Derek understands me. He sees me in a way you never could. I felt something crack inside my chest. 3 years. 3 years of building a life together, of planning a future, of believing we were in this together. And she was telling me I was never there. I was going to propose to you, I said quietly. I have a ring. In my drawer. I have been carrying it for 2 months, waiting for the right moment. For the first time, Megan looked surprised. But the surprise quickly faded, replaced by something colder. I am sorry, she said, though she did not sound sorry at all. But I am not in love with you, Jet. Maybe I never was. Those words hit me harder than anything else she had said. Maybe I never was. Every memory I had of us together suddenly felt tainted, like looking at a photograph and realizing the person smiling next to you had been lying the whole time. How long, I asked. What? How long have you and Derek been together? How long have you been lying to me? Megan hesitated. I could see her calculating, deciding how much truth to tell. 6 months, she finally admitted. 6 months. Half a year. Every time she told me she was going out with friends, every time she took those long phone calls, every time she came home smelling like his cologne. It was all a lie. Their entire relationship had been happening right under my nose, and I had been too blind, too trusting, too stupid to see it. So when you said he was going through a breakup, I said, slowly piecing it together, his girlfriend found out about you too. That is what really happened. Is it not? Megan did not deny it. I wanted to yell. I wanted to throw things. I wanted to demand an explanation that would somehow make this make sense. But none of that would change anything. The woman I loved, the woman I was going to ask to marry me, had been cheating on me for 6 months and was now engaged to someone else. She packed her bags that night. Not all of them, just enough to get by. She said she would come back for the rest later. She said she was going to stay with Derek. She said she was sorry things turned out this way. I did not say anything. I just watched her walk out the door, and then I was alone. I do not remember much about the rest of that night. I know I opened my sock drawer and took out the ring I had bought for her. I sat on the floor holding it, turning it over in my hands, feeling like the biggest fool who ever lived. $8,000. 2 months of secret planning. 3 years of my life. All of it meaningless. The next morning, Marcus came over. I had texted him sometime around 4 in the morning, just 2 words. She left. He showed up at 9 with coffee and breakfast sandwiches, though I could not eat anything. I told him everything. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "There is something I need to tell you," he said. "Something I should have told you a long time ago." Marcus had seen them together. 3 months earlier, at a bar across town. He had been there with some co-workers, and he spotted Megan and Derek in a corner booth. They were not just talking. They were kissing. "Why did you not tell me?" I demanded. He looked miserable. "I did not know how. You were so happy, so sure about her." I thought maybe I saw it wrong, or maybe it was just one mistake. I did not want to ruin your life over something I was not certain about. I should have been angry at him. Part of me was. But mostly, I was just tired. Tired of being lied to. Tired of being played. Tired of being the one who trusted while everyone else betrayed. But sitting there with Marcus, something shifted inside me. The pain was still there, sharp and raw. But underneath it, I felt something else rising. Determination. Resolve. I had spent 6 months being made a fool of. I was not going to spend another day being a victim. I started going through everything. Bank statements, credit card records, receipts. What I found made my jaw drop. The apartment we shared was in my name. Megan had agreed to pay half the rent, but when I checked the records, she had only paid her full share for 3 months out of the 18 she lived there. The rest of the time, she had given me partial payments, or nothing at all, always with an excuse. My paycheck was late. I had unexpected expenses. "I will make it up next month." She never made it up. Then there were the loans. Over the course of our relationship, I had lent her money for various things. Car repairs, medical bills, a trip to visit her family. Each time she promised to pay me back. Each time I believed her. When I added it all up, she owed me nearly $5,000. I typed up an email. Professional, factual, unemotional. I listed every debt she owed me with dates and amounts. I attached screenshots of our text conversations where she acknowledged the loans. I gave her 30 days to pay it all back. Her response came within an hour. She called me petty, toxic, vindictive. She said I was trying to punish her for falling in love with someone else. She said real men do not nickel and dime their exes. I did not engage. I simply replied, 30 days. Then Derek called. His voice was smug at first, like he thought he could intimidate me into backing off. "You need to leave Megan alone," he said. "She does not owe you anything. You are just bitter because she chose me." I stayed calm. Actually, she owes me $4,800. I have documentation. If she does not pay, I will take legal action." Derek laughed. "You think I am scared of you? You are pathetic. No wonder she left you." He kept talking, getting more aggressive, throwing insults, making vague threats. I let him talk. What he did not know was that I was recording the entire conversation. When he finally ran out of steam, I spoke. "Thank you for that, Derek. My lawyer will appreciate the recording." Dead silence. Then the line went dead. 2 weeks later, Megan transferred the full amount to my bank account. Not a dollar more, not a dollar less. I blocked both of their numbers and deleted every trace of them from my social media. But I could not delete them from my mind that easily. Through mutual friends, I heard bits and pieces over the following months. Megan and Derek argued constantly. Turns out, Derek was not as successful as he pretended to be. The fancy car was leased. The designer clothes were bought on credit. His big real estate deals were mostly exaggerated stories. When Megan realized she had traded a stable, loving relationship for a man built on illusions, the romance faded quickly. I did not feel satisfaction when I heard this. I thought I would, but I did not. I just felt tired. And maybe a little sad that she had thrown away something real for something that was never going to last. I got my money back. More importantly, I got my self-respect back. That was the real victory. The first few weeks after Megan left were brutal. I would wake up in the middle of the night, reaching for someone who was not there. I would come home from work and expect to hear her voice, only to be met with silence. The apartment felt too big and too empty, every corner filled with memories I wanted to forget. I questioned everything. What did I do wrong? Was I really emotionally unavailable? Could I have fought harder to keep her? The thoughts circled my head like vultures, picking at my confidence, until there was almost nothing left. My mother called me every single day during that time. Linda is not the type to give long speeches or offer complicated advice. She just listened, and when I finished talking, she would say the same thing. "You deserve to be loved properly, Jet. Never forget that." Simple words, but they kept me going. Marcus refused to let me disappear into myself. He showed up at my door at least 3 times a week, dragging me out to play basketball, or grab a beer, or just walk around the neighborhood. He did not try to fix me, or tell me everything would be okay. He just made sure I was not alone. Slowly, I started to accept the truth. Megan's choices were not my fault. I had loved her honestly and completely. I had trusted her the way you are supposed to trust a partner. If she mistook that trust for weakness, if she took advantage of my love, instead of cherishing it, that said everything about her and nothing about me. I needed something to do with all the anger still simmering inside me, so I signed up for boxing classes at a gym near my apartment. 3 nights a week, I showed up and punched a heavy bag until my arms ached and my lungs burned. There is something clarifying about physical exhaustion. It leaves no room for overthinking. At work, I threw myself into a new project, a complicated system redesign that demanded all my focus. I stayed late, came in early, buried myself in code. My manager noticed and gave me a raise. It was not much, but it felt like proof that I was still capable, still valuable, still moving forward. I started keeping a journal too. Every night I wrote down my thoughts, the good ones and the bad ones, the memories that hurt and the lessons I was learning. It helped me see patterns I had missed before, all those red flags I ignored, all those moments when my gut told me something was wrong and I chose to silence it. I promised myself I would never make that mistake again. 6 months after that Saturday night, I woke up one morning and realized the weight on my chest was gone. I did not miss Megan anymore. I did not hate her either. She was just someone who used to be part of my life, and now she was not. The space she left behind had started to fill with other things. New routines, new friendships. A new version of myself that was stronger than before. I sold the ring I had bought for her. The jeweler gave me less than I paid, but I did not care. I took that money and booked a solo trip to Colorado. I had always wanted to see the mountains, and there was no better time than now. Standing on a trail at 11,000 feet, surrounded by pine trees and snow-capped peaks, I finally felt free. The air was thin and cold, and my legs burned from the climb, but none of that mattered. I was alive. I was whole. I was going to be okay. The lesson I carry from all of this is simple but hard-earned. Never ignore your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. A person who truly loves you will never make you feel crazy for having reasonable concerns. They will not gaslight you into silence or make you question your own perception of reality. Trust is not given blindly. It is built through consistent action over time. When someone's words do not match their behavior, believe their behavior. And here is the hardest truth of all. Ending a relationship that is hurting you is not failure. It is not weakness. It is the first step toward finding something better. Toward finding someone who will love you the way you deserve to be loved. I do not know what the future holds for me. Maybe I will fall in love again someday. Maybe I will find someone who makes me forget all about Megan and Derek and that terrible Saturday night. Or maybe I will be on my own for a while longer, and that is okay too. Because I would rather be alone and at peace than with someone who makes me question my own worth. And if love does find me again, I will be ready. But this time, I will also be ready to walk away the moment I see those red flags waving. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever ignored warning signs in a relationship and regretted it later? What helped you move on and rebuild your self-worth? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is going through the same thing right now. If this story touched you or made you think, please hit the like button. It helps more than you know. And if you are new here, subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next story. Thank you for being here and for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that no matter how broken you feel right now, you have the strength to heal and the power to choose yourself. Take care of your heart. You only get one.